Well, today's video, as we perhaps hinted at the end of the last episode, is going to be a little bit different to normal. It'll probably be a little bit shorter. It's certainly going to be a bit more dramatic. And it's probably the closest we're going to get to an interactive episode because you guys are going to help me in making a big decision. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 22 of the Coach's Head with me, Daniel. But will it be time for the first move of the save? Well, you're going to help me with that decision. We are back, as you can see, on the 26th of June with Willem 2. And after the negative transfer model came back to bite us again this summer, and after some star players appear to be moving on, it is a summer where I feel we've taken a club as far as we can. And there are some very interesting options coming up. Now, remember with this coach's head save, as opposed to the original head coach, we are not looking for the most realistic move, the one that we would take from the offers in real life. We're not looking for the move that's going to earn us the most money. We're looking for the move that we feel is going to be the most enjoyable. Now, it looks like we may well have two job offers on the horizon. We've got two jobs where we're pretty certain for interviews. One we're already favourite and one we're in the mix. So I've got a feeling that by the end of this video, we're going to be choosing between three options. Staying at Willem 2 and two other job offers. If you're looking forward to finding out what they are, where they are and whether or not we should take them, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. It's your chance to get involved. I'm not promising that I'm going to take the option the majority of you say. But as we've got 3 days until the next episode, it gives me a chance to at least consider some of your viewpoints and apply them to whatever decision I do make. So let's go and start by having a look at what drew us back here on the 26th of June. Because if we go to our inbox with Willem 2, we have got a job interview from Atalanta in Italy. Now this is an interesting one because if we go and have a look at the club in recent years, they have finished second 2 years ago, seventh this year, and they're expected to be in a title race. So the expectation is huge if we go there. However, they've got a squad that's a little bit mixed because they're spending half of their wage budget on a few exceptional players. So they've still got De Keletare, and they've got Scalvini earning basically twice the amount of anyone else at 27 now, albeit as one of the best centre-halves in world football, and Icardi, who is a young player who's become a star and the captain for them. But they have got a few deficits in the squad and a few average players. They've also got a few where, as always in FM this year, they've allowed them to get over the hill. Soler's about to go, but then they've got an old keeper, an old right back, and they've got an old centre midfielder in Joe Willock as well. So there are problems there, but there is an opportunity and there are still 2 or 3 stars in their peak. There is also, though, another job we've applied for that's maybe a big fish in a smaller pond. So let's go and have a look at the other job we've applied for, because that one is at FC Copenhagen, a side that have relinquished their Danish title this year and have finished second in the Danish Superliga. Now this one gives us the option of trying to win the league back and then also trying to compete in Europe a bit. And they've got a squad that is a lot older on paper, but with a fair few out of contract this year and some good youngsters coming through that may well be ready to replace them. So this gives us two very different sorts of saves, two very different sorts of options. And I'm not really sure which would be the best one to take or whether Willem 2 is the right option to stay. But based on what we've got financially this summer and the one loan signing that's been looking to be made, I don't think it is the one I want to do. So I am a little bit sceptical of staying here, but I don't know which of the other options would be best. We've got the bigger league in Italy, which I love. I watch Serie A loads, with a club that's maybe not right at the top of the game but has huge expectation, or it's a club with huge expectation that is at the top of the game but in a slightly smaller nation, but it would give us the chance to get some trophies. The other thing we've got to consider at Willem 2 though is if we go through to the club information and to the facilities, they're building a new stadium. Now we did hint that maybe this is what they were saving the money for. They're building a 26,000 stadium that will open in a couple of years. There's a problem with that though, because as part of that, despite the fact there's 30 million in the bank, they've still decided to pocket that and chuck 45 million quid's worth of loan at the club. So they're now going to be paying back a massive amount of money each month, 3.3 million in interest, and then 400 grand a month, which is going to basically wipe out the profit we've been making even after the sales. So the negative transfer model will continue here for some years. And even if we do stay this summer, we probably won't see the new stadium. So we've got a lot of decisions to make. We're going to go through the first interview because, of course, we had an offer with Union Berlin last winter where we went through the interview and we didn't get offered the job. So we need to see if that's the case here. We might not have three decisions to make. So let's go and see what our choices are by attending this first interview. I won't attend all the others, but just so we've been to one and you can see it. I always say football is a universal language if I don't know it. I'm going to say I've spent my career building up experience at smaller clubs, waiting for a bigger opportunity. I think that's the right one, isn't it? Let's go for it. Some people might say you're taking a risk leaving what is a safe job. I want to work my way up, baby. You've got to help me out. You've developed a reputation for applying for other jobs while still employed. I feel it's acceptable. Am I hedging my bets? No. I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to do whatever I can to keep progressing. Given the career I've had, it's very much the exception for me to be in media controversies. Again, those questions always come along. Do you think you'll do a better job of handling expectations than your predecessor? Based on your expectations, probably not, but I can't say that in the interview. Very happy to work with the director of football, of course. Do not forget, this is a director of football challenge. We will have no say in transfers, in staffing, or in contracts. Tony D'Amico is not the best at his role, to be honest. He's been there since 2022, is the original one. Not too pleased with his negotiating skills. I don't need to make any changes to the staff, but look at these. Challenge for the title, work towards winning it, and then win it within 3 seasons. This is a club that maybe has expectations above the grandeur of its squad, if I'm being honest. So let's say it seems acceptable. I understand you haven't got any expectations for now, but are you going to offer me the job? An enlightening discussion is normally a good sign. Our odds have dropped from 16 to 1 to 6 to 1, and I would expect that Copenhagen will be following behind with a job interview very soon. Everyone's ambitious. We're going to follow in the suit of our predecessors. Let's see if we get this job offer or a Copenhagen one. We'll be back when we've got some decisions to make. Well, just a mere 5 days later, we are back and we've had another job interview at FC Copenhagen. And now we return on the 1st of July with our first job offer to leave Willem 2. Let's go and have a look at which one it is. Maybe it's another surprise one. Who knows? It's not. It's FC Copenhagen. Now, the decision we've got here is that the board want us to stay at the club. They're very happy with what we're doing. But as part of that, they're still offering us no money. There's a loan that's been negotiated here, but it's for a player who's pretty average. I'm a little concerned about where they're going, to be honest. Copenhagen have approached us and offered us 13.5 grand a week, a really good transfer budget and a much bigger wage budget than we've got here. Now, my initial worry with the Copenhagen one was, you go into a slightly less reputable league, is it considered a step down? But actually, we're getting double the wage budget, we're getting 3 times the transfer budget and actual money to spend, and it's a club that's expected to win. So maybe it's a nice stop off to try and win a trophy, to try and do something for our CV. So the Copenhagen one's tempted me. It's not the step down I thought it was going to be. We've built this club's reputation up of Willem 2 to 3.5 star. Copenhagen must be at least that, surely. Let's have a look at the reputation. It's 3.5 star, yeah. So there's no difference really between them. They've got a good squad. We've seen them in a bit of detail. But the problem at the minute is we're looking ahead to this season and thinking, are they going to be able to take the title back off Midtjylland? The season preview suggests that yes, but only narrowly. But they have got a number of good players in that squad, albeit some coming towards the end. Are we going to see a lot of turnover of the squad? Quite a lot of those players were wanted, as you can see. And with us not being in charge, are we going to get a huge turnover at the start? The big question to answer. What I'm going to try and do, as we normally do here, I'm going to walk away from the board discussion. I'm going to delay this for a week, which normally works okay, and just see if we get an offer from Atalanta, because I want to know whether it's 2 choices or 3 we've got to decide between. And you guys can then try and help me out, because we're going to know exactly what our options are and exactly where we might be able to go. So let's delay this one for a week. Hopefully Copenhagen agree. They do. We're going to refuse to attend this one. We're not going to sign a new deal here. I'm pretty sure of that, but you guys might be able to sway me unanimously. There are no other great jobs popping up. Deportivo La Coruña tempting, but they're in a second tier. We've got to be realistic here. And then elsewhere, there's not really a lot of jobs in other countries that really stand out. So I think these are going to be the three options. Utrecht's manager left to go to the Bundesliga. That was an interesting one to note. Let's see if we get the offer from Atalanta, and it'll be over to you guys to help me decide my fate. Well, our decision has just been made a little bit easier because we return a week later after delaying the Copenhagen deal, and there is still no offer from Atalanta. They have not turned us down. They may well still offer us a job, but I'm not willing to take that risk and miss out on another opportunity. For me, the two choices now are between staying at Willem 2 and going to Copenhagen. I think you're probably getting the vibe of what I'd like to do based on this episode. I just feel that with the club building a new stadium, with the fact that they're still giving us a huge negative transfer budget, and with the fact that there are star players on their way out, I just feel this is the limit of what we can achieve now at Willem 2, and we're basically waiting along for possibly 5 to 10 years to see a stadium come in, the debt start to clear, and then maybe not having to sell people, or maybe even a different board, I don't know. But I think the immediate solution is probably to go to Copenhagen. As a reminder, they're a similar reputation club. They've got an expectation to win trophies, something we've not done at the top level in this career. The only trophies that this manager has won is the J3 and the J2 league with Gifu. And at Copenhagen, we're going to have double the wage budget, an actual transfer budget for the director of football to spend. And I think that's a wage increase for us as well. It's certainly not a drop. Yeah, it's an extra £1.50 a week. So I said at the start, it doesn't matter about the money. It doesn't matter about the realistic move or the reputation. But actually, if you consider all of those, this still isn't a bad move. I think this is the one to take. We're being asked to play a similar style of football to what we did there. We know there are some aging players, but they're all towards the end of their deal, which potentially gives the director of football a chance to bring in new players, and a chance to wrestle the title back and be a hero there against Midtjylland is also something that is particularly exciting. The one thing we haven't done with Copenhagen is had a look to see what their director of football's like, because Peter Christensen, we agreed to keep him in. He is actually very similarly rated to the one at Atalanta. Poor negotiator, average at judging player ability, but he's a bit better at judging the potential. And the head of youth development is exceptional at Copenhagen. That's something that excites me too. Probably a club that's a bit more akin to what we're doing here with Willem 2. They've still got the academy in place. They're still bringing through players. If it's down to me, this is the move I go for. I want to hear in the comments what your reasons are for potentially staying or leaving, what you would do in this scenario. Because bearing in mind that I'm not going to have the same transfers, I probably can't take Willem 2 to the next level. And for Copenhagen, for the CV, to be able to get a couple of trophies, hopefully, and to be able to move a club forward that is about to go through a big transition, I think this could be a spell of real excitement both for the club and for my CV. And let's not forget, a couple of years ago, we did have a brief stint in Denmark with Viborg, which was one of my favourites in FM history. So my mind is 90% made up. Unless you can all tell me exactly why I shouldn't, I think this will be the move. But I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments. If it were you, would you stay at Willem 2 or move to Copenhagen? And what would your reasonings be? For me, I like the Willem 2 project. I like the club. But it's all just going to be happening a bit too slowly for me to progress. So I think Copenhagen is the move. And I want to know your thoughts in the comments. If you agree or disagree, let me know. Let me know where you would go. If you enjoyed this one, something a little bit different and something a bit more interactive with you guys helping me to make this decision, and please do put a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe and turn that notification bell on to see what my final decision is in the next episode on Tuesday, where you guys will have had your say and maybe try to convince me not to go to Copenhagen. I don't know. In the meantime, though, we'll be back on Monday with Southend United. It's a very busy old season there. It's becoming a bit of a weird and frustrating one, but hopefully we'll be able to find some form there too. You can also find links to the Twitch channel and a football podcast up in the eye above. We've got regular live streams from both FM and football watch-alongs, and the new EFL Championship season is on the way, and that will be featuring on the podcast very soon. Thank you very much for joining me, for coming and seeing my dilemma live in person. Hopefully you'll be able to help me make the decision, convince me that what my thought is the right one. I'll see you on Tuesday as we make our decision and possibly join a new club.